The decline of newspapers is not about the replacement of the antiquated technology of newsprint with the lightning speed of the internet. It does not signal an inevitable and salutary change. It is not a form of progress. The decline of newspapers is about the rise of the corporate state, the loss of civic and public responsibility on the part of much of our entrepreneurial class, and the intellectual poverty of our post-literate world. A world where information is conveyed primarily through rapidly moving images rather than print. All these forces have combined to strangle newspapers, and the blood on the floor is disheartening.
Contrary to what people in our own industry say, I think you're going to see the small community papers, whether they're weeklies or dailies or bi-weeklies or whatever, still putting out that paper product, because nobody's going to tell you who was born last week. Nobody's going to tell you who died and have their funeral. Nobody's going to tell you the soccer scores from your park commission or your church league game if it's not your local community newspaper.
It's not the only newspaper in town, but the Oxford Eagle has been a part of this North Mississippi community since 1865. For its first 106 years, the Oxford Eagle was a weekly publication, but in 1971, it became a Monday through Friday afternoon daily. While big city newspapers struggle to keep their readers, the Oxford Eagle continues to play the right music for small-town America.
Well, this is the only kind of size paper I've ever worked for, actually. I've done internships with larger papers, but I like this size because you get to be part of a community. You feel like you're actually connecting with people, and it's not an insane amount of work. You are working hard, but you know, at larger city papers, you don't have a life.
I think, you know, when you're in journalism school, you're taught so much about the craft of writing and reporting, and so this is more the emphasis, but once you get out, it becomes more about the relationships that define your work and the role that you have in your community. So even though my role may change, I mean, Oxford is home, and I hope that that feeds into our work that we do, that we're not just people who have a job here, but we very much call this place home.
It's like a...
I know, I got a picture of it. No, it being a small town paper, it's very cool that I can have one-on-one with my publishers. And I mean, we literally work an office down from my publisher, and my editor's office is 5 steps from mine. You know every single person.
I don't believe it.
It's obviously a great job to have if you like sports. It's a great job. It's a great city to work at because you got SEC football or SEC sports, along with some of the high school stuff, so you can get a little break, you know, a little variety. It becomes an even better job when the teams are winning.
Yeah!
We live in the communication age. 24-hour news channels, the internet, even smartphones that can put the world's information in your pocket. One may wonder why small community newspapers like the Oxford Eagle still exist.
I really like that they have a list of the events that are going on in Oxford. It is a really tight-knit community.
It was the first thing that I did when I arrived here, to get a subscription to it, and it's kept me in touch with everything that happens in the community.
The Oxford Eagle's a perfect thing for that. And since it's locally owned and run by local people, then it just caters to Oxford itself.
I look at the Oxford Eagle as belonging to the community. It belongs to Oxford, Lafayette County, and the university. And with that ownership, each opportunity that we have, to as far as putting out a quality product each day, this is our goal.
Happy 4!
My name is Jason, and to me, journalism isn't just reporting the news, but verifying it.
My name is Alexander, and I think that journalism is simply telling people what they need to know.
My name is Lee, and journalism to me is providing information to the masses with as much detail and accuracy as possible.
Hi, I'm Sally, and journalism to me is an adversarial process that helps us garner information from every aspect of life.
My name's Austin, and journalism to me is the separation of fact and opinion to inform, entertain, and emotionally affect the reader.
My name's John, and in my opinion, journalism is the whole process, all the way from gathering the information to making sure your facts are correct to releasing the information to the public.
Oh, my name is Camille. I think journalism is educating yourself and accepting all opinions, and I don't think that it will die because I think people still physically want to hold the story in their hand while they read it.
This is Jonathan Scott. I'm the news editor here at the Oxford Eagle.
And he's the person in charge of a major part of this newspaper's content. He has a full-time staff of 3 reporters who begin their work days about the same time as the sun.
Between 6:30 and 7:15, first thing I do is usually make a round of websites, forums, see if there's anything, news that I missed overnight that might be pertinent or local. And then I do the crime report every morning.
Hey, this is Elisa from the Oxford Eagle. I was calling for the reports this morning.
And we put that in the paper every day, how many people were arrested, what they were arrested for. Sometimes I have stories to write that morning if there's deadline news. Our deadline for print is about 10 a.m. So if anything happens in the morning or overnight, it doesn't give me a whole lot of time. So sometimes we're working a little bit under the gun there.
We start in the morning. Usually we work on our stories the day before, but last minute details, or if there's anyone else we need to connect with, or if there's breaking news that morning, we'll work on that. But usually just because our deadline is so early, we try and get our stories done the day before, and then in the morning just finish up, and then start working on the stories for the next day as soon as that's done by 8 or 9.
And then the presses roll usually around lunchtime so that we get the papers out onto the square so that the lunch crowd folks can come and get their paper around noon.
How much was it?
I don't know.
What we all strive to do is give the community a snapshot of what happened in the community that day. What was maybe not necessarily the most important, but history it's happening, and if we can record that history accurately and well-written form, we've done our job.
You've got to really come up with new ideas, and we do that. I evaluate myself every year. I consider the start of the year at the end of July, going into football season, and the end of the year for us, even though we work 365 and all that kind of stuff, really as soon as Ole Miss baseball ends. And then I'll look at everything and I'll say, we need to do this better, we need to do that better.
I just look to get the best shot.
I just want it to be a clean looking picture with emphasis on what's going on to convey the news element of the photo.
I'm Jeff McVeigh, editor of Oxford Town, sister publication to the Oxford Eagle.
What is he, the star reporter?
Oxford Town's a weekly entertainment guide we publish on Thursdays. We cover typically the bar scene, restaurant scene. We cover the arts, we cover all the museums, basically anything that the town has going on, and it could even be a neighborhood putting on something.
And people here are wonderful. They have a good relationship with our community, so we get a lot of help from people all over. I always have people emailing me and calling me with story ideas, so we really wouldn't be able to do what we do if it wasn't for that kind of interaction with the community here.
You know, covering things that your neighbors and your, kids at school and the people you see at the grocery store. I mean, there's just something kind of nice about that. Plus, given the state of the media business, this is certainly, I think, a good place to be.
We have a lot of people who have been here a long time because they feel like it's their community and their newspaper, and it's part of a family. And I think that's what makes small town papers work in the towns that they work in.
Some 15,000 journalists nationwide lost their jobs last year. News pages are being radically cut back, and newspaper stocks have tumbled.
And according to the website Paper Cuts, more than 1,800 newspaper jobs were lost in the United States during the first 6 months of 2010. For much of this nation's history, the newspaper was American journalism. But in the early 1960s, one event proved a coming of age for a relatively new form of journalism: television.
Here is a bulletin from CBS News. From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, some 38 minutes ago.
I get most of my information from the TV.
Television, internet, and television.
Today, both television and newspapers are feeling the pressure of a technology and information revolution.
My personal way of gaining most of my information is through the internet, through apps on my iPhone.
And internet.
Drudge Report on the internet.
I get most of my information from the internet.
There are those in the media who believe the arrival of online journalism and blogging means the end of the newspaper business as we know it.
I think even with a community newspaper as the Oxford Eagle, we have felt the effects of the economy. It's been a challenge, to keep, certainly it's not possible to produce the numbers that maybe you had 2 or 3 years ago with the economy like it is. We still feel like there's a place for the Oxford Eagle.